So in this video, I'm gonna show you how you shoot videos in low light and make your videos look more something along the lines of this. So when it comes to shooting videos or even taking photos, having the proper exposure and lighting is a deal breaker when it comes to making videos, shooting photos, and you want things like reducing grain and noise. And one of the most simple solutions when it comes to shooting videos in having low light is looking around and seeing what are your existing light sources. For example, right now I'm shooting behind a window. In other words, I am getting natural light coming right in my face and using that as a key light. In comparison, if I wasn't right against a window and getting this really natural lighting, and I would, let's say for example, I would, instead of shooting against the window, I decide to shoot here. As you can see, my face is really underexposed. There's backlit from the window, and the back is overexposed, but my face is underexposed. So look at this, compared to if I bring the camera and I'm against a window using natural light source, and guess how of a big difference that makes. And I used $0. All I did was go against the window, but there are downsides such as relying on the sun and not being able to control the sun. But that is one of the easiest ways is to shoot videos or photos in low light, is to look around and see, are you in the most optimal place to shoot your videos or photos, or are you in a dark corner of your room and you're really underutilizing natural lighting? Tip number 2 when it comes to shooting in low light and how you'd cope with having low exposures, having things underexposed, is look at your camera settings. Sometimes if I'm shooting videos for clients and there's really low light, I would sometimes cheat and go against the grain and go shoot 1/30. But if you're shooting at something like 1/2000, you might want to lower down the shutter speed. So yes, you'll get motion blur, and the most optimal is shooting at 1/50th of a second, having your aperture wide as possible. In other words, the more wide your aperture is, the more light and the camera sensor is more sensitive to, so you're essentially letting more light into the camera and you're essentially increasing the brightness. And of course, ISO. ISO is along the lines of having the last measure. So knowing your camera, I'm shooting still on a D5200. I know that I can get away with shooting at ISO 1250 at the very highest maximum without having things like grain and noise. So make sure to have the lowest, if you have really low light environments, what you want to do is shoot at 1/50, have a wide open aperture, and have the highest native ISO that you can go to, but it really depends on your camera. But I shoot at 1250, 1.8, and 1/50, and if it's really low light, I would even go at 130, but that's just me. Tip number 3 when it comes to shooting in low light situations is upgrading your gear. If you have a kit lens with a variable aperture, in other words, if you go from 18 and you zoom in to 55 and it goes from a 3.5 to 5.6, you might want to consider things like a constant aperture zoom lens, such as a 17 to 50 Sigma, which I'm shooting on right now. If I zoom in, I'm still at 2.8, and I don't lose any light. So when it comes to shooting, think about upgrading your gear, like having a faster lens. The faster your lens is, the more light and lower light situations that you can actually play in, which is why I'm a big fan of having lenses such as the Nikon 1.8, which is a really cheap alternative and a fast lens which allows you to shoot videos or photos in lower light in comparison to like a kit lens. This shooting at 3.5 versus shooting at 1.8 is a huge difference. So this might help you when it comes to shooting in photos or videos in low light. And my last and final tip when it comes to shooting in low light and you don't have a lot of light sources is maybe start looking and investing in LED lighting or even just lighting. Having proper things like having a key light, a backlight, or if you're more on a budget, consider something like a simple LED light setup when you just put on your shoe mount. Although it's not optimal for professional things, you can use this as a secondary light, and it comes in handy if you don't have any light sources. Put this on your shoe mount and you're already more lit in comparison if you were in the corner, have no natural light sources, and it does the job. So link in the description if you want to check out this M9 Aperture M9 light LED. I already did a review on it, link is in the description. But overall, that is how I deal with shooting videos or photos in low light. So hopefully that helps you when it comes to, I don't have the right light sources. How do I shoot videos and photos in low light if my camera can't shoot really well in dark situations? There's always a way, whether that's looking at your existing lights, investing in your gear, upgrading it, and yeah. My name is Peter, you're watching Broke Visionary Collective, and we all start with nothing, but you can always create something.